for all.
Thank you, Lord Jesus, for this day that you've given us, Lord. We pray that you be with us, that you give us guidance and direction as we do the work for the city, Lord. And everything we do, Lord, we look to lift your name up high. Thank you. Amen.
Approval of agenda. There is no changes.
No changes, Mayor and Council.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to approve the agenda as written.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Given,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to public comment time. Here's a time for people who would like to come forward. Just state your name and address, and we'll ask you to limit to 5 minutes unless you need more for some reason. State your name and address. May come forward at this time.
Jeff Martin, American Refuse. Honorable Mayor, members of the council. We completed our second phase of our rollout for the 3-cart system on the west side of the tracks. It went really smooth. Everything went in as anticipated, roughly close to 1,000 customers that we rolled out to. This week, we're collecting all the 300-gallon cans out of the alleyways. And as we go through and collect those cans, we're cleaning up the alleyways, getting everything raked up, all the limbs, whatever that's in the alleyways, we're getting it all cleaned up. So it'll be nice and clean for folks. Hopefully doesn't attract any more trash. So that's kind of where we're at. This one went really smooth. I feel like it much smoother than the first one. We haven't got a lot of phone calls. I don't think the city has. We've been working with Bridget, so it's pretty quiet right now. So, any questions?
So if anyone has a problem in the alley, do they call you? Do they call the city or both?
I feel like at first it's easiest if they call us and we can address it right away. We're getting the cans out right now. I know everyone used the cans last week. They're all very full. And we went through and dumped them all today as if it was the regular scheduled day, and we're collecting them out of the alleyways. We won't be completed till Thursday afternoon of the collection of the 300-gallon cans. But if there is any issues, it's easiest if they just call us. You know, we get people that are coming out as we're going down the alleyway that are saying, hey, I've got this couch, or I have this, you know, and so we're just taking it all in. We had some people delivering us items with their pickup trucks today. They're like, I got this other couch. Can I get it to you now? And absolutely. So we're picking up a lot of stuff. So, which is good.
Okay. So do they call you only on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday hours?
No, they can call anytime, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
The Shafter office is open from 10:30 to 5:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, where we have our staff member over there. Otherwise, they can call our office at any time, and if anybody has any questions.
Very good. Any other questions?
How many of the 300-gallon cans are you picking up? Or how many are there to pick up? I
Close
guess?
to 300.
Close to 300.
How is the breakdown going, the compliance going part? Is that going along okay?
It's been going really well. We were very strict right off the get-go, and we met with a lot of people, and we reviewed about 95% of every can that was set out to look at it, to make sure that it, you know, had the proper contents, and if it didn't, we tagged it and left it behind. We spent a lot of time with outreach and talking to people. A lot of people were very upset when we did that, but ultimately it's really the only way, you know, if someone misunderstands, to tag it, leave it behind. Hopefully they call or we can catch them. But that's been very successful. And I feel like we've really been able to connect with a lot of people that way and get people on the right track. So it's really good. When you go and you start, I mean, I'm out most mornings flipping lids, and you know, a lot of people are just really doing a fantastic job. A lot of food waste, a lot of good stuff that's supposed to be there. A lot of people have gotten bio bags and are using bio bags. Like it's pretty amazing. Like, you know, from going from zero to this in this short a time, like it's fantastic.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
It's really good. And it's it's very rare that we, someone that we connect to doesn't participate, or just absolutely refuses. It's very rare. Like we've had a lot of good feedback, and I feel like everyone's trying really hard. People are trying to do the right thing. I mean, you can tell when you go to a recycle can, you look, you can see what they're putting in it. They're trying their best. There may be some things that they're in question, so they put them in there, but most people are doing a fantastic job.
Nice to hear.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Jeff. Customers were happy because they're not happy, we'll get a phone call.
Hmm.
Going the extra mile and making sure everybody understands what the rules.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Right.
So,
Anyone else care to address the council?
Katie Weedy, 553 Padre Drive. Honorable Mayor and the council, we just want to give a presentation on a 5-minute brief presentation on thrift store. So continuing the reusing and recycling, and I'll let Melissa get started.
Hi, Melissa Bergen. So Katie and I run a small nonprofit dedicated to Shafter called Listen to Shafter. We've done a number of projects through town, including a mural downtown, helping save the Shafter Library, the Shafter Christmas Store. Along those paths, including the Shafter Christmas Store, we've seen a need for a brick and mortar thrift store. So we looked around and tried to find business models that we could copy or bring to Shafter, much like we did with the Shafter Christmas Store. We copied it from Atlanta. So we have connections to an organization called Mennonite Central Committee. It's an international relief and development organization. And they have, is it over 80 thrift stores in the US and Canada? And they have reached out to us and been very willing to talk about their business model. We've written a business plan based on their business model, and we're looking forward to bringing a thrift shop to Shafter.
So the store would function where local people could bring goods that they don't need anymore to the thrift shop as donations, and then they would be sold in an environment that's pleasing and clean and smells good and inviting. And 90% of the profit would go to Mennonite Central Committee, which is a relief and development organization of the Mennonite Church. And those funds will be used nationally and internationally for relief and development efforts. They have people in Ukraine, Africa, Asia, all over the world. So 90% will go to that organization, 10% will stay local in Shafter. We could do various things, partner with other organizations. It wouldn't go to the Mennonite Church. It would just go maybe a grant program or funding different projects that are happening locally. So this is relevant because of inflation, and we saw with the Christmas store, there's a need for things, not just at Christmas time, not just at back to school time. There's a need year round for affordable goods. And so we don't want those things to go away, but we just want to provide something that's affordable year round. We would hire a manager, so a job for a local person. And then we would use volunteers from the community to help sort and process the goods that were donated.
So where we are right now is we are looking for a building at 5,000 to 8,000 square feet in Shafter. That's almost the size of a grocery store, if not the size of a grocery store. So that's a little harder to find. You can't just pick out a Main Street open building and say, we want that one. Bob Meadows has been really helpful to us already in helping us scout locations and connect us with people in town that would be aware of locations. So we're grateful to his service to our group already. And we're working on a fundraising goal of about $100,000 to be able to lease a property, fix up a property, do some light reno, hire a manager. And we're working on a 0% interest loan from the thrift shop network of the Mennonite Central Committee. And we're working on other fundraising as well.
So on October 9th, we're having an event at Shafter Mennonite Brethren Church on the green. We've invited Mennonite Central Committee to come and share what they do with the community. We want people to learn more about the thrift store. We'll have lunch. You can make donations, but the biggest thing is education. We just want the community to know that this is happening. We're working on it. We think it will be a good thing for Shafter. The goal is that it'll be a place where people of all income levels can come and interact with each other and build community and get to know each other in a friendly environment. So if you're interested, Melissa sent out flyers for the October 9th event, but you're welcome to come. And if you have any questions, we have more information. We just wanted to do the short and sweet presentation today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask or email.
Any questions, Catherine?
So it's more like a Goodwill.
Yep, Goodwill is for profit. This would be nonprofit.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
So the extra, the funding that you gather, 9% to.
Yeah, not the church.
They have Mennonite Central Committee has offices all over the United States and Canada that then send funds across the world. In Reedley and Fresno are their main offices for the West Coast region. So they do restorative justice work in the West Coast region, in Fresno, in Reedley, in LA, like they're doing work here in our area that would help go fund.
Percent that's pretty much allocated to Shafter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if we set up a grant where people apply once a year, we're not quite sure how we'll do that yet, but that's what will happen.
You could actually use that towards the.
Exactly. Or a donation to Healthy Start or some kind of community development projects.
What
Okay.
time is the meeting on the ninth?
It'll be from 12 to 2 on the grass on, I don't know, Kern Street. Is
Yeah.
that what that is?
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's between 12 to 2. There will be lunch. We're planning to have activities and resources to help you learn what this is about. And, so the goal is education.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, ladies.
Yep.
It's a big undertaking, but I think you will get a response. I know when we had even Salvation Army store here, like you said, all income people like to go in there because you always find some treasure that you thought you couldn't live without. And, you know,
We've been working with Sandy Armstrong, who used to run that store.
see, yes. Yeah, that's a plus too. Yeah, and it has been missed. We've tried to get Goodwill to come here and they seem to pick other cities before they'll even consider coming. So this could be,
Yeah, Bob has mentioned that, and actually
Mhm.
about thrift stores, you want to be near other thrift stores.
mhm,
So even if Goodwill was to come, that's a benefit.
yes,
We're not in direct competition.
yeah. So it's good. Thank you.
Hello, Honorable Mayor and
Yes.
the City Council. My name is Jamie Swatella and I work for Era Energy. You might remember me from a couple of months ago when I introduced myself and I promised the council that I would put Era out into the community a little bit more. So today I have some exciting news to share with you. Era's 25th anniversary is this year and we wanted to celebrate in a big way. Not only do we produce oil and gas for the state of California, but we also commit back to our community, whether that be through the workforce, volunteering, or donations. For our 25th year anniversary, we look to put back that effort back into the community with our employee resource groups, or ERGs is what we like to call them. So we have 10 ERGs within our organization, and they are comprised of employees throughout the state. So we have 5 operating areas. One is Ventura, Kalinga, which is in Fresno. We have 2 fields here in Kern County, one being down the road, which is Belridge, which you may be a little bit more familiar with. Midway Sunset, which is near Taft and Maricopa, and San Ardo, which is in Monterey County. But for Kern County, we have 6 ERGs who have been selected to pick a nonprofit of their choice to help support for our 25th anniversary, or birthday, I like to call it. So for a birthday gift to the community from Era, we have chosen 2 organizations from the city of Shafter, one being the Walker Senior Center and the other one being the Learning Center and Library. And we'll be dedicating $10,000 to each organization to support their efforts. Now, this didn't go without a blink of an eye. These were well thought out. Each ERG, one being our Nexus group, which is young professionals who chose the Learning Center and library. Their mission is to help support young adults and kids with education and being successful. And that which was right in line with what the center is doing, not only with the community as a whole, but the programs that they offer and what they look to continue to offer. And then our CARES program, which is a program that helps care for individuals, or if you're a caretaker, whether that be a parent or for an elderly parent, you are a part of our CARES group. And that group chose the senior center. And so we did get to announce to both organizations this afternoon that we will be supporting with a $10,000 donation to each, which we're really excited about. And we will be celebrating that on October 13th at our offices at 10,000 Ming Avenue in the afternoon from 2:30 to 4. And don't worry, I will email this to you so you don't have to write it all down. But I will share the information to you, and a formal invitation will come in the mail. But we know sometimes the mail takes a little bit longer, so I'll make sure to get that to you ASAP. But we are excited to celebrate not only the community of Shafter and all that you're doing, but also celebrate our 25th anniversary and our commitment to this community. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great afternoon.
That means the seniors could be great for about a month.
I'm like, he gets to decide.
I can see why you're excited. It's always fun to share big things like that and to be able
It
to
is.
get it out in the community. That's great. That is really good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And our rec district works very well with the senior center. I mean, you know how you've expanded out there. It's really excellent. So, and then also to the Learning Center. If you haven't, have you been in?
Yes, multiple
Yes.
times. And David's been great.
Yes, I know. That's what we tell everybody. You really need to keep up with it. It's just always something good going on over there.
Yeah.
New and bigger and better.
And I always say a community that has a healthy library is a healthy community. And I think some people don't realize how important that is to the growth and how it prospers throughout, and the long-term implications it has on a child's future, right? If they don't have that access to books or that type of environment, it can be hard for them. And so what you guys have here, I think, is very unique. And the individuals in our early career saw that. Very clear. It was unanimous on the vote on going to the Learning Center. So I think it's clear what you guys are doing here in the community, and we're happy to be a part of it with this donation.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you understand the history. We were being cut
Yes.
back a great deal. And so
Yeah.
fortunately, we have means that we could pick it up.
Yeah.
But we already knew in advance, and David will back that up. I mean, we knew what we put into it, that it just needed to be there, even though some people didn't see it so important.
Yeah.
The library and the Learning Center is great. And I'll tell you what excites me the most, if you go down there, is when you see the families come together. It's
Right.
not just the children, it's the families that have come out that
Mhm.
are supporting their kids, but also supporting part of the community that's stands out for me.
Yeah. Same for
great.
us.
Yes. Yeah, and well, and David does everything he can to include families. And that's what we wanted. So,
Yeah.
Sounds
And
good.
hopefully we'll get to have more partnerships in the future. I know that this is just the beginning.
yes.
I did promise you that I would get us out more in the community, and I would share with you that progress. And I think this is going to be one of many. So
Right,
excited
good.
to do that.
Good. Any other comments?
Well, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for the great news.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yes, thank you.
excellent.
Have a good one.
Okay, let the record show we have our other council member that's joined us late, and you said 20 minutes. You just 2 minutes ahead of time. You're great.
On time.
Welcome, Caesar.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next is the council announcements and reports. Gilbert, you want to start?
Gilbert, Mike. I was going to say, I had the opportunity to be with council to go to Long Beach and to go through some classes and some learning, training seminars, and also meet a lot of vendors that they have products that they try to promote for cities, and also meet other council members and just to talk to them about some of their experiences of how they're dealing with the transitioning the 3-cart systems and stuff like that. And so, you sort of get, some have already gone through it and some are telling us, hey, you'll get through it and don't worry. And then there's others that, other issues that we're facing, homelessness as well. And they shared what they're doing to try to curb that. And so you sort of get to see what other cities are doing. And that sort of gives you some feedback and some pros and cons, and maybe you might do some of what they're doing and see some of their progress. And they share their what they're doing in just different areas of their community. And I think that was good to get some more experience to see what's going on other than Kern County, or you get to see what the whole state's doing as a whole.
Thank you. Anything else? Chad?
No, good conference at the league. Glad to get to go and have everyone there. That was really nice. We had a pretty successful reverse draw for our Boosters Club, Shafter High Boosters Club, this last Saturday. We were able to sell out on our tickets. Chief is making donations to his next event. He was one of the ticket winners. Way to go, big guy. Okay. It's good to see the community come together, to see the support that they do for these different groups. I know Boosters Club has a lot of support in the community, but it's not just them. It's all the various clubs, sporting events. It's really cool just to see a community like Shafter be able to come together and do this. So outside of that, nothing more.
Well, you didn't mention the fact that you lead that organization.
I do.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
They've initiated him very well. He knows what it takes too. So
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for your service. Caesar?
Well, I had an opportunity to attend the League of Cities conference. It was a pretty good conference. Some very good class settings in there. One of the most important ones, there was quite a bit. A lot of them had to do with water, which that's something that California is facing a big shortage on right now. And it's a big topic as well. There was a good class on Proposition 47. And if you don't know what that is, Proposition 47 was coined the Safe Schools Act, which had absolutely nothing to do with safe schools. And it's affected our communities quite a bit. They're trying to fight it at this level, but it's a bleak future. There's a bleak future on that fight. It's pretty heated room. I think a few of you guys were in that class as well. I'm glad to see somebody's actually talking about it at least. That's a plus. And you can see it all around California. You can see it all around the communities, how it's affected us from early releases from prison. And I mean, the chief could attest to that, which is basically catch and release of criminals. But I'm glad to see something trying to be done at that level. Hopefully we see a little bit of changes in the future. Other than that, just been coaching since about 3 tournaments since we last met. So I've been out of town quite a bit, plus work. That's all I got.
Thank you. Pete?
Yes, on the 3rd of September, I visited the Minder Airfield, and they were promoting the showing of the Japanese surrender documents. It's a copy of the documents that Japan signed at the end of World War II on top of the deck of the battleship Missouri, which I've actually stood right there where they have a memorial plaque where the signing and everything was done. So it brought back a little bit of that trip to Hawaii that I took, and it was nice to see the museum. If you never took time to visit out there, they have so much stuff, and they got so many plans to do so much more. So I'd really it would be a neat trip to go out and take family and friends out there to the museum. On the 6th of September, I attended an oath of office for a reserve officer. He was an officer and now he's on the reserve side, right? But he's still helping out with the police force. So chief was a little sad, but then he's still helping out, and he's still someone that has experience here in the city. So I'm glad that he's still helping out in that way. I also attended the California League of Cities conference in Long Beach. It was my first one that I've gone to. I was kind of impressed at the size of it. There was a lot of people there. a lot of information, a lot of vendors, a lot of different classes. And it was an eye-opening experience. I got to meet a couple of different people from different areas of the state. And then I ran into some who I've seen at other conferences. So it was all in all, it was a good time. And the other thing I wanted to mention is on the youth football league, the Commanders are 2-0. So we beat Liberty on the first week, and then we beat the Spartans, who are the junior team for the Titans, the Frontier Titans right here. And so we have a very exciting team. We're off to a good start, and we got a lot of support. A lot of the parents and people are going out to watch the games, and that just encourages the kids even more. So if you can make a game, I highly I highly, would recommend it. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we're following in the same footsteps as the high school team. So we're running the same offense, the same defense. If you watch them out in the field, we're calling signals in from the sideline, no huddle. And it's just amazing to watch the kids, really pick it up and then thrive at it too. So highly recommend a Commander game if you have a chance. And that's all I have. Thank you.
He'll predict another win, right? Ah.
Don't give away the secret.
Yeah, no, just come and watch him. That's right. Just come and watch him. Okay, I have a few other items too, but I'd like to comment on. On August the 25th, staff and myself attended a meeting at the COG office with High Speed Rail Authority people. And it was a time that we might share with them some of our needs and our interests and desires. And as we came away from the meeting, I can't say I was totally excited with what they told us, but I approached one of the fellows named Garth Ferguson, who is Fernandez, sorry, that is now planning to come and visit in Shafter so that we can show him Shafter and a tour of what we have here, as well as understand our needs and the way we feel about high-speed rail coming through our town. And that's scheduled for October the 4th. Also on the 6th, it was Carlos Romero. Chief, I don't remember how many years he gave us. Was it 4 or 5 years that he's been on the force? Yes. A really super guy, but he has a chance to, and I'm going to share this because I think it shows his commitment for his family as well as for us, that he's chosen to do a private job at this time so his wife can stay at home. But he doesn't want to lose that connection to law enforcement because we'll always be here. And I'm even told him, and I'm hoping that we can get him back. So he is going to resign from the PD, and then he's going to serve as reserve, which you need to be almost a full-fledged trained officer in order to get their 16 hours every month. So we will still get some good use from him. Also attended the league conference, one of the times that all 5 of us have been able to go. I know last year only Caesar was able to attend. Some of us wanted to go, but with COVID and just everything just changed. And so, but it was your first time last year?
No.
No. And so, yeah, that was a good deal. Now I can tell you the issues that I heard from people mostly involve housing, homelessness, and safety. Huge problems in the state, huge problems in most of the cities. And I can tell you that we can brag, and it's really good to have people here that are going to hear it, but we can say we don't have a lot of those same issues that we heard from other cities and other delegates that were there. So that's encouraging, and yet they can't give up either, but they don't have, as Gilbert kept saying, they just don't have the solution. I mean, they're going to have to search a little more to realize what they're going to have to do to get ready to be in a position like we have here. Also, I signed a petition, and the petition had to do to take to the General Assembly on the last day on Friday, a resolution so that the delegates there could support putting on the ballot in 2024 to rescind SB 9. And SB 9 has to do with local control. We advocated, we sent a letter before that was signed, and there were people there that knew it, that we had done this, and they know how important it is to cities. The league even did not support AB 9, and yet it was signed by the governor and it was put in effect. Now we're having to go with the expense of getting us back on the ballot and hope to convince our citizens that we got to have our own local control. We should be able to do what we want to do in some areas in our own city and not have the state dictate to us. So that's something for you to watch. Now, it's going to take 2 more years and like I said, a lot of money in order for us to get this rescinded. Also attended a task force meeting on September the 14th, and it's a group that meets in our community. And we exchanged, they're represented by different people in the city that have organizations. Some of them are service clubs, some of them are churches, some of them are government people, even from the schools. And their needs are all of our needs. And so we share information back and forth and usually very rewarding. Now, a couple of things I wanted to say is Phil's always there to represent the rec district, and he was always informing us as to how there are so many more families with their kids as well as adults that are participating in activities that are held through the recreation department. And it's really enlightening to realize all the kids, and they've increased numbers and teams of kids in all ages. They're also working on that complex for the sports deal that's coming up, we hope in another year or so. And so he keeps us updated even on that. Also, they're having a Thankful Thursday, and this is something that is a benefit for the ones that are able to sign up. And I think you're still limited to 100 families. And then clubs in the community can contribute some item for Thanksgiving dinner. And they come in their car, they drive down, and each organization that participates and gets to donate something to them. And I've been there before representing Rotary, and I know some of us others have been there for other reasons. And families are very appreciative of what they're getting. It's a good feeling, and you know that you're definitely helping them. And it's done Thursday before Thanksgiving, but they get everything. It isn't just the turkey, it's everything that goes with it. I mean, eggs, bread, you name it. I mean, it's all there. Corn, just everything. So that one's going to be held on November the 17th. Also, there is a big event coming up that the Kiwanis Club is scheduling for October the 31st. It's called the Harvest Festival, and they're going to have a parade and a carnival activities for all the kids to keep them off the street and into one area so that they can have a good time and earn a bunch of candy. There's even the CPS, which is a Child's Protective Services. It's always there. And so it's interesting for her to share with the rest of the group. And then we even ask them how we can help them. And there's just good communication, good contact that I think benefits all of us in organizations and in the public. Even the pastors, the churches that are there, I mean, they're collecting food, and they have giveaways, and still another way to help out families. Okay, then I attended a COG meeting. Current COG is our transportation and department for all the cities in the county. And so there was a letter this time written to Kern COG. They were the last agency to accept unmet transit needs. There was a request on unmet transit needs. It comes from Gossamer Grove. They have a special needs child, which just adds to the whole thing about public transportation. We were not able to act to accept this unmet need at the time. And so by next month, we hope to have all that worked out, which involves the city of Shafter, since that is within the city. And staff already knows about that. They're working up a plan so that we can still cover the transportation for them. What's interesting is the jurisdiction stops at 7th Standard. So the bus or the vehicle cannot cross 7th Standard to do anything for everybody on Gossamer Road. And as you know, the community out there is growing a tremendous way, and it'll continue to grow because it doesn't just stop with Gossamer Road. And so the future will see some kind of arrangement, whether it's with the city or with the Bakersfield area and get. So yeah, that one will be worked out. Also, Rideshare Week is coming up October the 3rd to the 7th. And if you're not familiar with Rideshare, it's just a way to tell you it's time to get out of your car, and they'll prove to you how we benefit ourselves and everybody, all the air, all the things involved with it to either pool rides or get out of your car, ride a bike if you have to or need to. But it's just an alternative way to get to work or to school. And then yesterday we had another oath of office for a new officer. And because of the need of so many police departments in all the communities that need officers, he was looking from Bakersfield all the way to Stockton, and he had a choice and he picked Shafter. Now, he is a young man, but I think I'll understand what Chief told me after. The young man should fit in very well. He had his family there. They have a little child that's 5 months old. Very excited about joining our police department. His name is Jesus Vega, and I believe that we'll benefit by having him starting our department. And so we welcomed him. That's all I have that I attended for the last couple months here. So anybody else have anything? No? Okay. Then we'll go on to consent calendar. And I'm going to read to you, we have 16 items on consent calendar, and I try to highlight them, but I think it's important that you hear and know exactly what we're approving on the consent calendar. Number one item is to approve general checks. Number two, the payroll. Number three, overtime report. Number four, the minutes of August the 16th is a special meeting and then a regular meeting. We approve a special event permit, which is a worship service for the Congregational Bible Church on Mantle Park on October the 9th. We also approve a special event permit for a pop-up event, Iron Valley Fitness, a new group in town that does advanced therapy, as I call it, on October the 1st. Number 7 is a special event permit for the annual team member picnic that comes here from Target Distribution Center, Mantle Park on October the 15th. Number 8 is to approve a license agreement for the temporary use with Picer Construction, subject to review and approval by the city attorney, and authorizes for use at the solar project that's on Los Angeles Street. Number 9, accept 3 proposals submitted in response to a request for proposal for the Stringham Park site amenities design project to KSI Engineering in the amount not to exceed $65,000. Number 10 is accept public improvements completed with the 2022 Zerker Road reconstruction project and file a notice of completion and acceptance of the work. That project, by the way, costs $775,000. And if you've driven, Mike, what is it, a whole mile? 3/4 of a mile. It's really a very nice improvement. But look at the cost that we had to put in for 1 mile, less than a mile. Number 11, adopt the City of Shafter employee biweekly pay schedule effective July the 1st, revised to September the 20th, 2022. Number 12 is to ratify and adopt a side letter agreement with the Shafter Police Officers Association, agreeing to modify certain provisions of the MOU approved by the council on December the 7th. The salary will indicate that the animal control officer classification shall receive an equity pay adjustment representing biweekly compensation of $1,601 to $1,947. Number 13, adopt resolution number 2888, approving and directing destruction of certain city records, mostly from the modified community correction center that is now closed. Number 14 is to adopt resolution 2889, authorizing the continued need for a teleconferencing option for the city council, for the planning commission, and committee meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. Number 15 is to declare the list of equipment as surplus property, authorize the sale of said items through a public sale process or an auction, and this has to do also with the MCCF. Number 16 is to authorize and accept the professional service agreement and proposal to secure the services of revenue and cost specialists for Phase 2 infrastructure development impact fees and Nexus for the total of $32,500. I needed to ask you, Marco, do we need to say what the impact fees will affect? the projects that go in there, about 8 projects?
Well, no, I mean, the impact fees have already been adopted, so
Okay,
they're already subject to it to the extent that they're not vested when they were funded.
right. Okay, so I don't need to share it again. Okay. So that completes mine. Any other questions or anything from the council member? Okay, well,
Excuse me,
then-
Mayor,
yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, just a minor correction on that last item, item 16. This is for new impact fees, not for the ones you've already adopted. We're doing the nexus studies for other impact fees for sewer, water, storm.
That's, okay, so
Storm
that's,
drain, general facilities. There's 8 different ones. So just want to make that clarification.
yeah, that's why I wondered if I should read them.
You can't be like, just for the record.
Yeah, but it is good reference because really, we've never had the impact fees previously, and now that we have growth and we have future coming before us, it's important that we collect revenues from these new developments so that it covers costs. And here's some of them: is a local storm drainage collection facility, the water storage and distribution, wastewater collection facilities, general facilities such as for City Hall, Corporation Yard, and the municipal fleet. Also for the aquatics facilities, public use facilities, and of course, the library building and collection, parkland and open space acquisition, and recreational facilities, and any other infrastructure provided by the city. So it really encompasses a whole lot of what we have within the city. So it helps in collecting those fees in advance to have them ready when we have to expand and improve those services. Any other questions? Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes,
Espinoza
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. The first item is a general plan amendment number 2137 and a zone change number 2170. Community, Shafter Community Park.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, our planning manager will make the presentation on items 1 and 2. And then on 3, I'll introduce it because there have some comments to be made at the beginning of that item for you that I think it's pertinent to the discussion that we want to have with you pertaining to item number 3. So with that, as I said, our planning manager, Steve, will present items 1 and 2. Steve.
Yes. Honorable Mayor and Council. This item is Environmental Assessment 21242, also General Plan Amendment 2137, and Zone Change 21-70, also known as the Shafter Community Park Project. This is the site. It's on the northwest corner of Golds Avenue and East Ash Avenue here in the core of Shafter. The park has a number of on-site improvements, which includes a 2-phase recreation and sports park on 42.4 acres. Again, it's on the northwest corner of those 2 streets. In phase 1, there would be various recreational fields and courts developed, as well as a 340 square foot restroom, a 1,300 square foot concession stand, 1,000 square foot storage building, 720 square feet of office space, and 3 parking areas with 336 total spaces. For phase 2, there would be an outdoor gym, tennis pickleball courts, a kids fitness course, a dog park, a barbecue area and track and field, a 26,725 square foot gym, a 1,500 square foot shop, a 1,000 square foot building, an additional one, a maintenance yard, and 2 additional parking areas for another 388 spaces. There would also be access roads, a basin, a dry well, and filtration units developed. Both phases would require lighting on 80-foot poles, which would require a future conditional use permit per the Shafter Municipal Code. And that would, if this is approved, that would come before the Planning Commission. CUPs remain at the Planning Commission level, but that would be a future entitlement. There is also a number of off-site improvements to this park, including connection to a potable water system, which would not be used for irrigation. It would simply be used for bathrooms, drinking fountains, things that required potable water use. There would be connection to existing sewer service. There would be connection to the Shafter Wasco Irrigation District's system, irrigation canal system to supply raw irrigation water to the site February through November. And the reason why it's constrained to those times is during the times outside of that, they're actually doing maintenance on their canals, and therefore no water is flowing through the canals. To make up for the loss of water during that time, and also when the allotments to SWID are reduced by the state, there would also be a backup connection to an existing water well for supplemental water. And finally, there would be a construction of a gravity sewer. Since the park does not benefit, this construction would be on the city to design and install. There it is. I don't know what happened there. I kind of jumped all the way. I apologize. It's not working now. There, yes. Apologize. Apologize. For some reason, this is actually supposed to be part of another thing that got accidentally slipped in there. This is the actual site for the two phases of the park. As you can see, there are a number of amenities that are being proposed for the park site. So as part of a general plan amendment, you have to, the planning has to determine whether the project is compatible with the land use element of the general plan. In doing this analysis, staff concluded that the project is generally consistent with the land use element. It is consistent with all policies of the land use element other than policy 7, which ensures that the location, intensity, and timing of new rural and urban development are coordinated with the provision of infrastructure. Currently, water is not available without needing to increase service capacity, and therefore this project is not consistent with policy 7. CEQA mitigation, though, as part of the environmental assessment, which was a mitigated negative declaration, determined that there would be a number of mitigation measures necessary to ensure that the applicant provides water year-round to the site and that it can be conveyed on site. And it's important to note that although the project is not consistent currently with policy 7, general plan amendments do not have to be 100% consistent with land use elements to be considered compatible. And staff has determined that the project is compatible with the general plan land use element. Like I said, there was CEQA done. Staff did an initial study and determined that the impacts of the project could be mitigated to a level of less than significant through mitigation measures, and therefore a mitigated negative declaration was prepared and circulated for the required 30-day review period. Since this is a state-funded project as well, it also went to the state clearinghouse and was given a state clearinghouse number so that Shafter Rec and Park can utilize the documents and further approvals down the line. Briefly, just to give you kind of a sense of the mitigation that was proposed, biology, there would be the need for pre-construction surveys. And if anything was found that was sensitive, such as, let's say, kit fox burrows, there would be avoidance and buffer measures implemented if needed. And there would also be a worker training about sensitive species prior to commencement of work. Cultural resources, although this is probably not a high likelihood due to the agricultural nature of the area and due to the fact that most surface deposits are chewed up by agricultural production. If there is, for some reason, cultural resources found during the work, there's a requirement to stop work and curate the cultural resources if the cultural materials or human remains are found. Human remains are found, we would stop work and immediately go to the coroner to determine if the coroner needs to step in, or if it's older than that, the Native American Heritage Commission. The biggest mitigation measures were hydrology and water quality. There's a mitigation requirement for receiving a will serve letter from the city for potable water and sewer, as well as a will serve letter for irrigation water from SWID. There's a we'll need to, there's an approval of offsite raw water and supplemental water well connections and on-site filtration dry well connections on the site plan that would be vetted through the city's public works, engineering, and planning departments during site plan review. And we are also requiring that the Shafter Rec and Park District provide a year-round irrigation plan to provide assurances that they do have water to meet the needs of the park. With all these mitigation, staff concluded that mitigation reduces impacts to less than significant. With that, staff recommends that the council conduct a public hearing, adopt resolution 2885, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Shafter adopting mitigated negative declaration or environmental assessment number 21-242 with mitigation as described in Exhibit A of that resolution for an amendment to the land use element and a zone change. Adopt resolution 2886, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Shafter approving general plan amendment number 21-37 as depicted in Exhibit A, and also introduce for first reading by title only and waive reading of ordinance number 741, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shafter approving zone change number 21-70 as depicted in Exhibit E. And basically the general plan amendment and zone changes would change it from its current business park and industrial designations to a public facilities designation. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and I'm open for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions before open hearing?
I have two. Why would we not include the CUP right now for the lights, knowing that something would be coming?
Because right now we haven't actually approved the project site yet to place then, because the CUP requires the proper designation and zone to be in place.
Okay. And then you talked about landscape water going into SWID's water. I guess I'm looking at you, Mike, more than Steve. I don't know what the closest connection to SWID would be there. Would it be closer to go to is it well 7 that's behind the high school at the ag?
No, it's 9.
Is that 9? One of them. It would be. Okay. Just curious. I wanted to make sure I looked at that. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay, I'd like to open the public hearing for anyone that cares to address the council for or against the project may come forward. Just give us your name and your address. You don't want to say anything, guys? Yes, sir. Now's the time, huh? I know it's been to the planning commission too, so it's come to us now, so we're good.
All right, so 741 Central Avenue, Philip Jimenez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council. We are very excited to move forward, and hopefully we have everything situated and squared away. But I'm here to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions?
You know, I've seen something similar to this 5 years ago, maybe, but you know, it looks very nice, and it was a dream at one time, and it seems like it's actually going to come to pass. So congratulations to you and all your staff and the elected board members. But I just don't see the skate park. So that's all right.
Is that a question?
No. Trying to save money, huh? No.
Yeah, in a sense, and you guys are building a couple too already. So
Yeah.
you guys are building one out there on there by
Fresno.
Fresno, and then you guys are re-renovating
Yeah.
the actual one. So skate park,
You
wise,
don't need to
you guys got
duplicate.
it covered.
Yeah, you don't need to duplicate now.
Yeah.
Well, and really to make it clear to everybody, this doesn't complete the project because they've got a ways to go to complete this project that's on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's maybe what's disappointing. I mean, it doesn't matter the years, but at least we're this far and you've got an opportunity to do something to offer to the community. And, you know, as we continue to grow, you're going to see the pluses that can happen with your expanded program already. So lots of work to do.
Yeah, and as stating, you know, talking with staff and, you know, we need more park amenities, and we're able to help out with that and continue to program recreational wise and help out in every sense that we can with having our own complex now.
Right.
So it's a blessing.
Baseball and softball, are the first things you're putting out there
Yes.
for everyone's knowledge base. How many kids do you see come through baseball and softball year?
As of our fall league this past year, we had 225 kids. We actually have 3 teams from out of city that are
Nice.
coming and traveling and playing over here. One from Early Mart, one from Delano, and one from McFarland. Well, actually 4, and then one from Wasco.
Nice.
So we are, bringing back that vibe to where everybody is coming in, but in our spring league, we have close to around 425 kids, 430 kids.
Very nice.
So
Kids
we are growing. We are growing big time, and it's a blessing.
Yeah.
It is a big blessing.
Just thought it was good to share that information because
Appreciate it.
sometimes people don't realize how busy it actually is over there at
Oh,
the Diamonds.
Oh, yeah, right. If you drive by the complex right now, the high school complex, you'll see cross country, soccer, and baseball and softball going on as we speak.
Very
All
nice.
sharing a small vicinity of facility.
Good job.
Any other questions or comments?
Just comment, when I was on the board in 2016, this was just a dream.
Yeah.
It was a dream and man, I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it. Hopefully we can see it to full completion. The community needs it. Community needs it. Our kids deserve it. It's a long time coming. Hopefully we can see a lot more of this, not just this right here. And I'm glad to see that you're at the head of this and your board still, amazing board.
Yeah,
And you got our full support.
appreciate that. And we have lost the board member, Antoinette Tony Johnson, who served for us 37 years. And this was a dream for her. So we're gonna do our best to make sure that we reach that and accomplish that. So. Yep.
Well, the city didn't get to where we are today and just overnight either. And you know that. I mean, you've grown with us. So yeah, it just takes a lot of work, but it'll pay off. And you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Small to get big.
I'd just like to say thank you for all your devotion, and it's going to be exciting to see it coming about,
I'm excited.
especially right there coming into town. I can already see a vision of it with the lights on and everybody out there and enjoying themselves and all that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Phil, I don't know if you remember or not, but I coached a team when I was younger. I coached the girls and we used to go out there at Rodriguez Park. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I probably don't remember that.
No, I don't think you were even born then. No, you weren't even born then, but that's all right.
Because the houses weren't developed, right?
No.
Yeah, I moved in, my family's, I basically was born in 89, so. Yeah, so it was before that.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's I'm sorry, honorable mayor.
No, no,
I would not know.
no.
But I appreciate any volunteer that does help. Coaching does take a lot of time, as
That's right.
Yasmina's husband does coach for us at times. And it is a lot of work that they got to put in, and it's volunteer, but we do have some coaches incentive, so.
So Kathy, they're still taking volunteers. You want to coach now so he could remember.
Lord.
Yeah, you can start now.
I
It's
know
never
I
too
don't have
late.
anything, any plate or any room left on my
Oh, there-
plate.
it's-
But you know
never
what?
too
I
late.
support it. Yeah, we support it. I think it's cool. That's what I'm saying. I mean, and I like to see the younger people doing it. I mean, you need to. That's what makes the community. It's the people.
Yeah, and driving into town, it is going to be beautiful to see. That's going to be the first thing. So we got to make sure we do everything the correct way and,
Yeah.
take all staff's advice and do it the right way.
You know what? I'll even share with you this. I couldn't throw the ball. I couldn't throw the softball. But you know what? The dads would step up and they'd throw it.
A lot of people just need, that team mom or,
Mhm.
just to step in. Everybody else will take in, but no one likes making the phone calls. No one likes, sending those text message out and worrying about playing time.
Yeah.
But it has been a blessing, and we are very, very happy to be moving forward.
Yeah.
If so.
Anyone else?
Let me tell you a story. No, just kidding.
No, I mean, it says a lot. It says a lot how we've come to this, and it's all worthy. So don't give up.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And council may make the motions. We have 3 different items.
I'll make a motion to approve all 3 items.
Can we do all 3 together?
You can, but before you take the vote, we should read the title of the ordinance. That would be an ordinance in the City Council of City of Shafter California, approving zone change number 21-70 as depicted in Exhibit A.
You got it?
Oh, my Lord. Chad, go ahead.
No, it's right there. It's right there. Yeah,
Oh, you just read it. There you go.
just as long as you go along with it.
Yeah. I'll make a motion.
Okay. Need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem Givens to adopt resolution number 2885, adopt resolution number 2886, as well as introduce for first reading by title only and waive reading of ordinance 741. Roll call.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Given,
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Espinoza
Yes.
and Prout.
Aye. Okay, number 2 item is the zone code amendment number 22-15, adoption of a new official zoning map of the city of Shafter.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this is Zone Change Amendment 22-15, a new official zoning map for the city of Shafter. This is a request to adopt a new official city of Shafter zoning map. Shafter was an early adopter of zoning regulations, with the city council first adopting a zoning ordinance and a zoning map for the city in 1946. For comparison, the first zoning map Kern County adopted for the area around the city was adopted in 1970. The 1946 ordinance identified areas for residential, commercial, and industrial uses and a very limited number of development standards. At the time, the incorporated portion of the city included the original township site, some residential, commercial, and industrial areas located mostly within a quarter mile of the west and south sides of the township boundaries, and a small area of residential development north of Tulare Avenue and another east of Mantle Park to Cross Street. An updated zoning ordinance and zone map were adopted in 1956, and at that time, the city had grown in all directions with primarily residential development. At the time of adoption, residential neighborhoods were being developed east of Mantle Park to Beach Avenue, west of Shafter Avenue to Schneidt Street, south of Verdo to Los Angeles Avenue, and north of Tulare Avenue to Redwood Drive. Shafter High School, the Richland School Complex, and Golden Oak Elementary had all to be annexed in the city by that time. One interesting item I found in the 1956 zoning ordinance was an emphasis on residential growth. The ordinance specified that any property annexed into the city was automatically zoned R1, or single-family residential, unless special action was taken to have a different zoning applied. The new zoning ordinance was much more comprehensive and looked much more like a modern zoning ordinance. Updated zoning maps were adopted again in 1966 and then again in 1976 that reflected additional growth in the city. In 1989, the city council adopted a new zoning ordinance as Title 17 of the municipal code, replacing the ordinance that had been in place since 1956. In 1992, the city annexed approximately 4,400 acres and expanded the incorporated boundaries south to Riverside Avenue and east to Highway 99, including Minterfield Airport and property within 1/4 mile of the south side of Laredo Highway. In 1995, a new ordinance and zone map were adopted, and the documents are still in use today. Since 1995, the city council has approved 59 zone changes and approximately 15,000 acres of land have been added to the city. After almost 30 years of changes, staff believes it's time to adopt a new zoning map. The map presented tonight, which is right here. The map presented tonight reflects several years of work verifying that all zoning previously approved by the city council is accurately reflected on the zone map that was created several years ago on the city's GIS system. And I'd like to give a big thanks to my senior planner, Suzanne Forrest, who literally went CUP by CUP, zone change by zone change, verifying that what we had approved is actually being reflected on the official zoning map. It was a lot of effort on her part, and it took her a number of years to do it, kind of tucked in between doing all of her other work. So a big effort on her part.
Thank you.
In addition to verifying that the information from the previously approved paper maps were accurate and transferred to the GIS system, Suzanne also verified that the information on the paper maps accurately reflected the council's approvals and conducted a parcel by parcel review to ensure that all zoning reflected on the map is accurate. This map that you're seeing today does not propose any changes to existing zoning. It just simply shows you accurately what the existing zoning is. While the recommendation of approval by your commission, adoption by the city council, I'm sorry, that was a typo there. Adoption by the city council, the map will be made available to the public on the GIS portal on the city's website. By making the information available to the public, city staff will be able to more effectively assist the public and provide up-to-date zoning information. Based on that, staff recommends that you conduct a public hearing, introduce for first reading and adoption by title only, and waive reading of ordinance number 740, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shafter, California, approving zone code amendment number 22-15, repealing the existing official zoning map of the City of Shafter, adopted under ordinance number 465, and approving a new official zoning map of the City of Shafter. And with that, that concludes my, as illustrated in Exhibit A. With that, concludes my presentation. I am open for any questions. Thank you.
Did you have any other questions or comments? No, not yet. Any questions from the council before I open the hearing? Okay, this time I'd like to open the public hearing for anyone who cares to come forward and address the council on the zone code amendment number 2215, adoption of a new official zoning map in the City of Shafter. Any comments from the public? Surely, yes. Yes, sir. You can do it. Yeah.
I am Gary Rodriguez, a great historical
Yes.
point. The only thing that I would add to their Golden Oak at that time, I don't know if it was 47 or 57, would have been Richland Primary School, and then Golden Oak probably in parentheses.
Well, it was supposed to be neighborhood schools at that time, and then they renamed everybody. So, yeah.
Well, back at the time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the only correction I would make, but that has nothing to do with the hearing.
He taught there, so he's well aware of it. Yeah.
I wasn't born yet.
Well, that's all right, too. All right, any other questions or comments from the public? Council?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 740 and waive the reading of ordinance 740, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shafter, California, approving zone code amendment number 2215, repealing the existing official zoning map of the City of Shafter adopted under ordinance 465, and approving a new official zoning maps of the City of Shafter.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. But my question is, we are still going to discuss this together with the Planning Commission so that we can have more discussion in regards to information as well as all the others that relates even to number 3.
Mayor and Council, not on the zoning map, but on item 3, that's the item that I want to propose here. I'll talk in my opening comments on that.
But we could also include that just so that we have, the best understanding and include the Planning Commission with it.
My understanding from Steve, it's already gone into the Planning Commission.
Oh, they have already? Oh,
It's coming from the Planning Commission to you as a council
okay,
with the Planning Commission's recommendation for you to adopt.
okay.
And Mayor, I'll make that more clear in the next one, that it is a recommendation of the Planning Commission. It has been vetted through the Planning Commission last month, and they had no comment. They approved it, recommended approval unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have the motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens and the council member Lopez.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Given,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, now we'll go on to number 3, which is to introduce ordinance number 735 to amend the Shafter Municipal Code titles 16 subdivision ordinance and 17 zoning ordinance by title only and waive the reading.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, on this particular item, we're going to ask you to, one is, you'll hear from our planning manager. It has been vetted and gone to the Planning Commission, and it's coming to you on behalf of the planning commission's recommendation. However, in retrospect, this is one item that we should have held a study session with council, only because it does include various legislative bills that have been passed by the state in recent years that are having an impact in local control. Also, too, we're talking about ADUs, accessory dwelling units, junior accessory dwelling units, some changes to the California Building Code that we're proposing to bring to consistency, as well as a matter related to recreational vehicles being parked in driveways and permanent commercial coaches, which is like these temporary buildings, much like what we have in our planning department here attached to City Hall, that I think warrants additional discussion and direction from council to us as staff. And so what I'm asking you tonight is to allow us to make the staff presentation for you to give us some initial feedback, comments, and then open the public hearing. Take any public comments tonight, but also I'm asking if you could respectfully requesting to continue this item to a future date of December 6th. And then I'll be proposing to have a council study session on October 18th, at 4 p.m. before the regular meeting of October 18th, so that we can have a study session on these items and a more informal discussion with further information to you and between our planner, our city attorney, and myself on what all these changes are legislatively, because there are, like I said, having an impact on us. So that's the action I'm asking. So tonight, for the record, I'm asking you to adopt the ordinances, but rather to let us make the presentation, give us any initial feedback, open the public hearing, continue the public hearing to December 6th, and then also for us to schedule a study session, council study session, October 18th, prior to the regular meeting at 4 p.m. And so with that, our planning manager, go ahead and make the staff report.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this is a zone change amendment 22-17, which are changes or revisions to titles 16, or the subdivision ordinance, and 17, the zoning ordinance. These are being proposed by both jointly by the planning and building departments, and I currently have Nick Fiddler, our building official, on Zoom, who will be handling a portion of this. I'll be passing it off to him at some part here so that he can talk a little bit more about the building official requests that we are requesting in this item.
Well, we have some smiles in the audience, and I want to correct you. Nick lives in another community.
Oh,
He is related to our Dennis, so.
apologize. He was my former public works
Yeah, I
director,
knew that too.
Dennis Fiddler. I
Yeah.
apologize.
That's right.
So the description of what we're asking for here is a number of changes to titles 16 and 17 of the Shafter Municipal Code. The changes revolve around changes in state law regarding accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units, as well as new landscaping requirements passed by state law. Also, what sort of brought about this item was discussions with Dennis Fiddler regarding consistency of the ordinances with the California Building Code and making them consistent with the California Building Code. There are also a number of sort of unique building official requests that we have prepared and vetted through this draft, these draft changes. Essentially, it boils down to allowing recreational vehicles in residential front yard setbacks or driveways, allowing 20-foot garage setbacks on corner and reverse corner lots, and we'll explain what those planning terms mean and why that's important, as well as allowing reductions of a mandated 1,500 foot rather setback between permanent commercial coaches, or those on-site temporary coaches that you can place on a site, and arterial roadways in certain industrial areas that are currently excluded by a 1,500 foot setback. There's also some minor changes that we've done that are related to section renumbering. Just over time, the sections change, and in reviewing it, we've noticed that some of the section numbering was a little bit off now. So we've renumbered that for internal consistency within the ordinances, as well as the one Title 16 change is actually something you approved earlier this year regarding 2-unit projects. I actually grabbed a old version of the subdivision ordinance and placed it in the wrong area. Luckily, it worked out for us, but what I'm trying to do now is get that already approved language placed in an area that makes more sense within Title 16, just for clarity. So, go back here, sorry. Why is this? Sorry. Can you redo that? I apologize, Yasmina. I keep hitting the back button instead of the forward button. Okay, so I want to first give you a kind of a definition of accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. Accessory dwelling units are dwelling units with complete independent living facilities for one or more persons that can be detached or attached or converted existing space on the lot of the primary residence that is converted into an independent living unit. JADUs, on the other hand, are a specific type of conversion of existing space that is contained entirely within an existing or proposed single-family residential or attached garage. Must have a separate entrance, efficiency kitchen, and may include separate sanitation facilities or use of the residence's existing sanitation system, and is no greater than 500 square feet in size. The changes in state law that are driving this are all of these various bills. Senate Bill 13, which was passed in 2019, Assembly Bill 3182, which was passed in 2020, AB 68 in 19, and AB 881 in 19. To boil it all down, these laws make ADUs and JADUs by right rather than discretionary in residential zones. It excludes off-street parking requirements. It excludes minimum lot coverage or owner occupancy requirements. It allows manufactured homes as ADUs, and it puts limits on square footage of ADUs at 1,200 square feet and JADUs at 500 square feet maximum. The other law in state law that we're dealing with is AB 1164, passed in 2015 regarding drought tolerant landscaping. The second bullet comes straight from the proposed revisions, which basically the city shall not prohibit the installation of drought tolerant landscaping, synthetic grass, or artificial turf on residential property, but may impose reasonable restrictions on the type of drought tolerant landscaping, provided the restrictions do not substantially increase costs of installing, effectively prohibit installation, or significantly impede installation. We're also dealing with California Building Code consistency. Title 17 is not consistent with the California Building Code, particularly for minimum distances between accessory structures in residential zones. Our Title 17 currently requires a 10-foot minimum distance between existing structures and proposed accessory structures. While the California Building Code has an allowance for reduced minimum distance requirements of less than 10 feet, provided you do other things like provide firewalls, things like that. And what this really boils down to is, if you have one of those small backyards in Gossamer Grove, there are actually certain backyards based on this 10-foot minimum distance that you can't even put a shed in the backyard because it's smaller than the 10-foot minimum distance to a vertical back wall, which is far more stringent than the California Building Code. So that is one of the things that we would like to rectify, is to make our zoning ordinance consistent with the California Building Code regarding minimum setback standards. That would be reviewed by the building official on a case-by-case basis. This is probably the one that is probably gotten the most attention. And I have Dennis Fiddler on Zoom who can discuss this a little bit more, but I'd like to tee it up for him before I put it over to him for a moment. This is essentially a request of the building official to allow RVs, boats, trailers, pop-up trailers, things of that nature within residential driveways, provided those vehicles do not encroach in the right of way, meaning sidewalk, road, but closest would be sidewalk, and that they are maintained and properly licensed. I know this was in understanding from the building official. I know this was sort of discussed in the past, and as a result of that, the staff prepared a survey or performed a survey of nearby municipalities and what they did. And what we came to find out is predominantly most allow such vehicles, RVs, boats, Sea-Doos, whatever, in the front driveway, provided that they stay out of the right of way and that they are maintained and licensed, or they have restrictions, but they simply do not enforce them. They do not have the manpower with their code enforcements to enforce this ordinance. The city of Shafter is kind of in the same boat. We have a one code enforcement officer, and this is something that we sporadically enforce, but we don't have the manpower to probably enforce it the way it was envisioned when it was written into the municipal code. With that, is there anything you would like to add, Dennis?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll add a little bit of background. Honorable Mayor and Council, for the past many years, couple decades, this RV ordinance has been reactively enforced, meaning when we got a complaint that was based on the RV sticking out over the sidewalk or into the street, we would require it to be removed, or it wasn't maintained. And we enforced it very similarly to the abandoned vehicle ordinance in Chapter 10. So if someone had an abandoned vehicle in their driveway, we would require that to be removed. So that's kind of the same thing we've had happen on the RVs in the front yards for the past 20 plus years. And so in April of 2020, so about two and a half years ago, we received 230 complaints because we tried to have one removed from a front yard parked kind of diagonal across the front yard, and we received a lot of complaints. During that time, Mr. Clausen, our previous planning director, created some draft framework, and he's the one that conducted the survey that Steve brought up. And yeah, it concluded that a lot of the surrounding county didn't have any regulation about the RVs, and many of the cities didn't have regulations. The ones that did, we looked up on Google Earth, and they weren't actively enforced. So with that being said, the RVs that we see in Shafter today is probably a good measuring stick of what it would look like if we adopted this ordinance. Not saying we should without any requirements, but I don't think it gets worse, because we haven't, for sure, since April of 2020, we haven't actively done anything with the RVs that are in the private driveways. And so that includes everything from boats, recreational fifth wheels, trailers, motor driven recreational vehicles, the little trailers, the Gardner trailers. So just a little bit of history there. And I think having some study session will probably be good. But in the meantime, you can look around the community and see, is it something that you like, or something that needs to change? So that's all I have. And I'm here for any questions on this, and be glad to answer any questions on the other items as they come up too.
Thank you, Dennis. Let me go ahead and continue on.
Okay.
I'll wait for the. So here are some additional, moving on from that topic. Here are a few more additional building official requests. He requests a 20-foot yard setback on corner and reverse corner lots for garages to allow parking in the front without encroaching in the right of way. And I'll have a couple of examples of that here in a moment. Currently the setback is 10 feet. To give you an idea, a normal car is about 18 feet long. So if you were to park in your driveway and it's 10 feet, 8 feet is sticking out on into the right of way. And therefore that the results are vehicles are encroaching into the right of way when parked in driveways in front of a garage on what we call corner and reverse corner lots. So if you notice a corner, there's the typical sort of interior, and then there's a corner lot. On the corner lot there, on that side yard closest to that street to the right, we would have a 10-foot setback. What we're requesting is that if there's a garage placed on that side yard, that setback acts just for the garage portion. Now the house can be pushed to 10 feet, but the garage actually is required to be pushed back to 20 foot so that if someone parks in front of that garage, their car will not encroach upon the right of way. Same thing for a reverse corner lot, which I'm showing you right there. Again, these are sort of planning terms that not a lot of people are very familiar with. I'm going to give you a few examples here that we looked up on Google Earth, not Shafter examples, but nearby examples in other communities of this happening and occurring. You can see the truck on the right. That's a 10-foot setback. That truck is up against their garage and cannot get any closer. And they are encroaching into the right of way. Here's another one where it's a 10-foot and a truck like that has to turn diagonally and is still encroaching significantly into the right of way onto the sidewalk. So that's what we're kind of dealing with here. And that's what we would like to rectify by pushing that setback for the garage on corner and reverse corner lots to 20 feet setback. There's also kind of a unique case here particularly in Minterfield along Laredo Highway. There is a requirement that any temporary commercial coach that we would place on Minterfield have to be at least 1,500 feet from Laredo Highway, regardless of where it's placed. It could be placed behind a building where you wouldn't even see it. It could be placed behind trees, but we cannot allow it because of this 1,500 foot requirement, setback requirement. What we would like to do is allow the planning director to have some discretion on a case-by-case basis to reduce that 1,500 foot buffer if it makes sense. Because often these commercial coaches, particularly around Minterfield, are sufficiently shielded by existing buildings, landscaping, whatnot, from the view along the arterial that the 150 or the 1,500 foot buffer is not required or necessary. Again, there's some just general section number changes because they're currently not accurate due to just historical changes to the zoning ordinance, and we've caught those. We'd like to true those up. And like I said, because of my mistake using the old Title 16, I placed a section wholeheartedly in the wrong section, and I'd like to move that into the proper section with most current subdivision ordinance. And with that, I think the recommendation now is just for a discussion and and to continue to a date certain of, I believe it was December 6th, sorry, December 6th. And with that, I'm open for any questions, and so is building official Dennis Fiddler.
Yeah, the action would be on December the 6th, but we would have a study session October 18th. And I thought that that's what the discussion was before, to bring in the planning commission so that we can discuss some of this to at least have an understanding altogether. Because some of this we've talked about in the past, it's been here, it's caused issues. And already just with our agenda coming out, I received some emails with those same comments about not allowing certain things. And, I think we need to talk about it more. We need to look at it more. Any other comments here?
You know my feelings on it already, so yes, it definitely needs to get pushed back. Are we reading those comments today, or are you holding those for December?
Once we open the public hearing,
Okay,
I'll have our city clerk read those for the record.
thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. If anyone cares to address the council on yes or no, any feelings about it for introducing ordinance number 735 to amend the Shafter Municipal Code Title 16 and 17 by title only and waive reading.
City clerk, Madam Clerk.
Yes, we have an email from David Finster. It reads, City Clerk and City Manager. I have been a Shafter resident for many years and have appreciated the RV parking rules. RV must be behind a gate and trash containers must be behind the fence. We live in Gossamer Grove, small lots and very few RV parking. If you change parking rules, it will have a negative impact on our neighborhoods. Please do not change the RV parking rules. From David Finster. The next email is from Jordan Aiken. Good afternoon, City Council and Mayor. I would like to voice my opinion in opposition to changing the law allowing trailers in the front yard. I am a resident in Gossamer Grove and having trailers in the front yards is not only an eyesore, but will negatively impact property values and the feel of the community. When trailers are in park spots designed for regular vehicles, that means more vehicles will end up parked on the streets. With next gen housing, there are already a lot of vehicles in our neighborhood, making the neighborhood look crowded and cramped. This can also lead to safety concerns as with children playing in the street. Lennar offers plenty of lots in all series that have RV parking. If homeowners are in need of trailer parking, that should be taken into consideration when purchasing a home. Other owners and neighbors have taken this into consideration and bought properties that had this parking available. Please do not let this neighborhood deteriorate, as this is a beautiful place that you have allowed to be built. We have owned multiple houses in this development now and can't imagine living anywhere else. But I implore you to not let the community turn into just another neighborhood with trailers parked wherever or project cars parked. Please keep this community nice, as this community can be an example of the future of Shafter. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Jordan Aiken.
Is that all you have? Okay. Any comments?
Not from us because you're in the public hearing at this moment.
So anyone else here? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and I think we've had.
No, you just keep it open,
I
continue
thought I
to,
already did that. Oh, I'm sorry, continue this hearing. That's right.
yes,
And I mentioned those dates already, so.
to a date specific of December 6th, Mayor, just for
Yes,
the record.
that's right.
We don't need to say that for a motion or anything.
No.
So we just need to make a motion to continue the
Continue.
hearing until December. I make a motion to continue the hearing until December 6th. In
I'll second that
regards to public hearing item number 3. Okay, sorry.
Second.
Okay, I think all of you understood. We are continuing the hearing till December the 6th. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez.
So Mayor and Council, now that the item has been continued, for clarification, you mentioned the Planning Commission. So the last time we attempted to bring both bodies together, we struggled to get everybody available on the particular date. With your permission, we'll go ahead and schedule it for October 18th. Invite the Planning Commission, and whichever of the commissioners are available, have them attend. Those that cannot, they can always watch the film on YouTube, I suppose.
Well, or I'll make some statements and they need to make the effort to come to us. If they're going to be effective, we need to talk about these things together.
Okay, so we'll reach out, let them know their attendance is requested for this
that's right. They
special
need
study
to make
session.
adjustments to
18th.
attend.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I just wanted a point of clarification.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Do the roll call vote. Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Given,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Park.
Yes. And remember, that's to have the study session as well as continue to December the 6th.
Apologies, Madam Clerk, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah. Okay, number 1 for management reports is a request of authorization for the city manager to execute a direct payment agreement with Horn LLP.
So Mayor and Council, this next item is be a presentation by our Finance Director, Roger.
Good evening, Madam Mayors, council members. So before you, the staff is recommending that the council approve an agreement between Horn and the city of Shafter, and I'll provide some details and background as to what this entails. So a brief background. Back in the early stages of COVID, the governor of state of California, Governor Newsom, provided some executive orders where we couldn't do water shutoffs. We couldn't do some of those things. So going forward in 2022, we're now allowed to do water shut-offs for the purpose of collecting revenues on delinquent accounts. So our intent is to get back in that track and start getting some water shut-offs and start collecting some of the revenues. So some of the bad news is that as of 6/30/2022, we have $380,000 of uncollected utility bills.
How much was that?
$380,000 those are bills that are 120 days or older. So it's kind of an unfortunate news. So this is again part of the consequence of those executive orders. So all communities, special districts have been affected by this. But these events were between 6 to 10% of the accounts are not being collected. So this tool of water shut-offs is a very effective tool to get us back in order. So if you recalled the American Rescue Plan, there was some funds available through the Water Board of California where we provided some credits to delinquent accounts. Now that was really nice and effective but it was only for about 1 year of the COVID. After July of 2021, we still had accounts that were delinquent. Those were not covered by the Water Board. So we still have those uncollected amounts. Many of the customers have, let's say, between $1,000 to $2,000 of balance due. So it's kind of a challenge for those collections, and it's gonna take time to clean this up going forward. So as you can see, the collections that we received on water, it was 246,000, on wastewater 107,000, for a total of 354,000. So the question becomes, is there more assistance that we can take advantage? And yes, there's some assistance that is different than the Water Board. And this is through the low-income household water assistance. So the plan is to go ahead and issue the notices warning the residents of those who have delinquent accounts that we will be doing water shut-offs. And if you authorize this agreement, we will be allowed to say, okay, by the way, you can go ahead and reach out to a nonprofit organizations and start and see if you can qualify for a low-income program. So this program, the funding source is from the Department of Community Services. They have the money. This is federal money. And as you can see in the middle, there's the administration is through Horn Company. It's a limited liability company. And there's a partnership that has taken place between them. And they're going to use the community action partnerships of Current in this case, but there's other nonprofits throughout the state that will be assisting with this process. What they do is they work with the residents, with the people, and see if they qualify for the program. If they do qualify, they work with Horn to approve those delinquent accounts. And what they'll do is they'll send the payment to the city for those delinquent accounts. So what we're requesting is that you authorize the city manager to sign that agreement. And in essence, as you can see, it's the relationship at the end is going to be between Horn and the city of Shafter. We'll just be directing, excuse me, the customers to go and work with the nonprofit and continue through that path. And hopefully we will improve those collections now that we're going to be engaged on the water shut-offs. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
Any questions of council?
I have one. On the, let's say, for example, I was delinquent in my account and I qualified. So would they pay the city in full?
They are only for past due accounts. They're not going to pay for future. This is a temporary program. It's not a permanent program. And yes, they would pay in full if you agree to it. That would be for water, wastewater, but not for trash.
Okay, all right, but I'm glad that we recognize there's a problem, past due delinquent accounts. And it's good that we're providing a solution. So I don't know how the solution came about, but good work to staff and how this came about, because now we're helping our residents to have a way out of their difficulties in 22 or 2020, 21. So, but this is good.
And a point of clarifications, my apologies. There's a limit on the amount to be paid. And I have to go back and check, but I believe it's $1,600. I have to go back and check on that, but there might be a limit on that.
Has there been an account that's more than 1,600?
There's going to be few,
Okay,
a few, the vast majority, it would cover most of the balances.
that's good. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I will make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve an authorization for execute these direct payments. Now, the people, you understand, have to qualify, plus they have to apply. And that isn't up to the city to do it. It's up to the individual customer to do that. And it was made by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez. Roll call?
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to city manager comments and reports.
So Mayor and Council, just some quick reminders and then some save the date. So the 34th annual current EDC dinner is this Thursday. There's some of yourselves and staff attending. Also, October 8th is the 2022 Transportation Conference. Principals Partner Day, October 19th, 8 a.m. Please RSVP by October 4th with the city clerk. And then in the words of Jerry Maguire, show me the money. On October 27th, over at the Shafter PD, Senator Melissa Hurtado will be here making a check presentation for the $6 million grant funding that she was successful in securing on behalf of the city of Shafter for the future police substation and proposed fire station at Gossamer Grove. And then lastly, to save the date for the Kern County Energy Summit, November 16th. That concludes my report. I do have one other brief report from one of our team managers, Johnny Rubio, on a couple of key initiatives that have been completed to improve not only services for city staff, but quality of life for the community. Johnny?
Yeah, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The IT department continues to be very busy with day-to-day operations, but we have several projects that reach across the city that we are currently involved with. We just simply wanted to shed some attention on the Veterans Hall. We completed a network upgrade. As you know, we were heavily dependent at that location during the 2020 year. And after we migrated back here, our equipment failed over at the Vets Hall. So we made the preparations. We've upgraded with some business class equipment. And this small project, our staff members, Aaron Herrera, Hector Chavoya, were heavily involved with. And this continues to help them sharpen their skills in this, in this area. But this upgrade, the pictures on the bottom just depict some of the cleanup. And then the final product is the picture up on top. Nice and clean work that was conducted. And Yasmina, can you show the next picture?
Did you use that last night? Saturday night?
And when members of the public connect to the Shafter guest portal, they get this nice little welcome picture. They're able to connect to the internet. So we have 2 wireless access points that cover the entire building sufficiently. So not only will we be able to benefit from this wireless infrastructure, but so will members of the public that need those resources. So I just wanted to share that with council and thank you all for your support.
I have a question though.
Sure.
Is this available for use as for instance, when boosters were there on Saturday night, is it work with the PA system and all?
This will just work with the wireless.
Wireless.
Yeah, wireless internet. Yeah.
Okay.
But feel free to connect when your group is out there. And if there's any issues, please let us know.
All right, let me ask the other question then. Is there a way that we can improve the PA system so that whenever you're over there using it, it will project so that the whole room can hear?
So we do have the mobile PA system that we used for the council meetings. If you let us know when it's needed, we can definitely set that up ahead of time. And if you remember, that projected pretty well in the main hall. So that was, we were able to benefit from CARE funding and purchase, make that a hefty purchase. But yes, it's definitely available for the city.
Okay.
Well, city-based events, but more than.
Well, I would hope so. I mean,
It's city equipment, so we'll support per your need.
yeah, when you have an event over there and they need to hear, and if we have it available, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
Mayor and
right.
Council, I think we can draft a brief policy just so that it's fair and equitable in terms of what groups, so we're gonna rent it to the public, if there's private events, that sort of thing. It is a very expensive piece of this equipment that, we have to make sure we safeguard it, take care of it. So I think in the interest of everybody and in the community, it's just to draft a quick summary, policy for your consideration. So it's understood in advance under what conditions and who could rent it or borrow it from the city to, again, like I said, protect that piece of equipment.
Will it cause an issue? Would there be a problem with having the public use?
Potentially it could, because if they spill water on it, fluid on it, it damages it. If they bang it, if they drop it, they don't know how to use it, right?
So
Either
it's
that-
not in a protected,
No, if you recall, it was on speakers. The
Yeah.
speakers were on stands. You have wiring going across, plugs into the amp, and then the microphones have to be set up. So short of me having one of my IT technicians out there to set it up, to monitor, it could become cumbersome. So
okay, that's probably what I was looking at. I thought there was something you could just plug in because I can tell you that, no, it's not going to work then. I mean, unless we had somebody that had to be monitoring there, otherwise it's not going to work.
yeah, the portal, the mobile system most likely would not be the most ideal, but there was something
No.
more permanent
Right.
built into it with overhead speakers or within the building, and then it was just a plug and play. Basically flip a couple switches or something like that, turn on the mics. I think some auditoriums have a system like that. But we don't have anything set up like that.
Well, we used to have a better deal over there years ago and I don't know what happened to it. It's probably worn out.
We do have a smaller unit.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the
No.
system that we've used during 2020,
Right.
but you're more than welcome to that. It's a smaller unit, basic speaker, mic, and that projects depending on the size of the room. So that smaller room, it would actually work best at.
The smaller side.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, no, so, yeah,
Okay.
I could have saved it, I guess, and asked you later, but no.
It was a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you can't have something like that that's gonna bring back repercussions, so, yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Johnny. And with that, Mayor and Council, no further department director comments or reports.
Okay, so I'm gonna call for a motion to recess into closed session, and we have two items. One is a conference with real property negotiators, who is with the city manager and American Refuse. The second one is a conference with real property negotiators, city manager, and the Shafter Wasco Irrigation District. So I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to go into recess.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into recess, and it's 7:49. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. We're in session. 7:49. In session, you got us? We're back in session and I'd like to call upon the attorney to give us a final report.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned earlier tonight, City Council recessed into closed session. All members were present. There were two items on the agenda, both related to real property negotiations concerning the properties listed on the agenda, and we have no reportable action on either of those.
Any other business before us? Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
second, we have motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned.